How did you accidentally find your partner cheating? Story 1. Back when I was in one of my first semesters of college, I had been seeing this guy for a few months. It wasn't serious yet, but I thought it was going pretty well. One day, I was at his apartment studying together or whatever, and I was looking through a desk drawer for sticky notes or something. At the bottom of the drawer attached to the pack of sticky notes, there was this little card that said something like, "I love you and miss you. I can't want to see you next weekend." At first, I almost assumed it was one of his sisters since he had family coming to visit the next week, and he had a lot of siblings. Sure enough, though, I snooped through his Facebook. He didn't post much, and this was kind of first Facebook years, and found a photo from a year before of a group of his friends with him next to a woman who went by K. After looking her up, she had pictures from all the way back to their sophomore year of high school and one of them on campus from 2 weeks before, which happened to be a weekend I was gone. Not that it made it any better, but I'll give him half props for being 100% honest about his situation when I called him on it. Really shitty of him, though. We also went to a pretty small college at the time, and a lot of people found out since we had a shared friend group, so nobody would date him. Story 2. He let me work on his PC. In our countries, we use an app called Viber, similar to WhatsApp. It also has a desktop app that you can connect with your phone app. Any photos that you receive/send via your phone app, if you have the desktop app, it automatically gets downloaded to a specific folder on the PC. I think it's under the directory downloads/Viber downloads. I'm a computer science student at university at the time, was working on my software engineering project using his PC while he was at work, and I needed to import a file into my project. So when I tried to import my file into my project going through the files directory, I saw in the preview of Viber downloads a photo of a naked woman. Then I opened the folder, and there it was, all these photos of the same naked woman. He probably forgot that Viber syncs the photos on the desktop app. He never admitted he cheated. He made up some excuse. I saw the dates in the photos properties, though. Deep down, I knew he was lying. But I did stay with him for another 1.5 years. I was young and naive and stupid, and he was older, manipulative, and my first boyfriend. Recipe for disaster. Story 3. He told me he was bi when we were rolling on Molly once. In another instance, he told me he cheated on an ex-girlfriend and bragged that she didn't even notice he had changed underwear for the new partner. What do you know? A new, to me, guy friend is hanging around, and he'd go off with this guy friend for which apparently they were old pals. He came back wearing new underwear and immediately throwing them away. I put 2 and 2 together that he was f***ing this dude behind my back. I'm guessing the guy pal had an underwear preference that my then partner didn't particularly like, so he threw those underwear in the trash in front of me. I called him out on it. He screamed in my face as to intimidate me. He noticed I was wearing his hoodie and ripped it off me. This was years ago. I left the next day and haven't seen him since. So if you notice a sudden change in underwear, that's a huge red flag. Story 4. Boyfriend of 7 years and soon-to-be fiancé received a new work phone and asked me to help him transfer everything over as I am very tech-savvy. The data migration tool I used had a window that showed the contents of what was being moved. He and I were sitting on the couch next to each other with my laptop when a ton of explicit messages and images were shown on screen. I was totally in shock. Not once had I ever suspected him of cheating, but come to find out he was having flings with various women while on business trips. If it wasn't for that, I may have never found out. We had a very happy, healthy, and strong relationship, and none of his behavior was ever suspicious. In the end, I left him, and I have never had any regrets. In a previous relationship, I caught my then boyfriend in bed with my roommate after coming home from my grandmother's funeral a day early. Story 5. My ex went off to a college about an hour and a half away from me. Rarely made an effort to see me outside of weekends he went home, and even then I had to drive to his town to see him. Never the other way around. He even started fights over the fact I had a worse-off car than him and couldn't make the trip. Turns out he had been asking girls out at college behind my back. He got denied 3 times before his roommate and best friend, who attended the same college on purpose, questioned why I was still on his home screen, but he was trying to get with other women. Then the truth came out, and they ratted him out to me. I wish I wasn't so stressed during college when this happened. We would have broken up right then and there. Instead, it was about 4 months later when the semester ended. His roommate and best friend had more respect for me despite barely knowing me than my ex did. They don't speak to him anymore to this day. Story 6. This is a crazy one. When I was 18, Before meeting my now husband, I dated a guy. He was a walking red flag and I was young and dumb. He demanded my social media passwords. 3 months into the relationship, we text goodnight. I wake up 3 hours later with this weird feeling. I didn't text him because I figured he was asleep. I go on my Facebook and he's on my account pretending to be me, soliciting nudes from other girls. I'm watching it in real time. I'm watching the messages send and come in and being deleted as they go, and then he blocks them. It was bat crazy. These girls would just send nudes within an hour of talking. I check my block list, and it's a ton of girls from all over the country, all 18 plus, thank God, but still gross. I check my log and locations, and the times match up to when it's happening from his exact locations. He would wait for me to text goodnight to use my Facebook. I called him out immediately. I reached out to every single girl with whatever proof I had. It was embarrassing, and I felt awful for them. Some just blocked me immediately. Some talked shit to me. Some were understanding. Story 7. My bum ex, 22M at the time, was living me, 19F at the time, and my parents. He would sleep all day while I was at work since he worked nights as a security guard. I came home from work and got into bed with him. I needed to use the phone charger, so I took his off to put mine on. And when his phone lit up from being taken off the charger, I saw a message from a girl whose name I didn't recognize or haven't heard him say at all. Let me say we weren't fighting or anything. Kissed him goodbye that morning, and everything was normal, so I didn't want to think the worst. At this point, we were dating for 9 months, and I knew / met all of his friends that were girls. The message said, "Can we talk on here instead?" Let me note I had already forgiven him once for cheating, and in an attempt to prove his loyalty, he deleted social media such as Instagram, Snapchat, etc., and this was his idea. I did not ask him to do this BTW. So I'm sitting there thinking what they were previously talking on since he has deleted everything for me. I couldn't shake the feeling and ended up re-downloading apps to see which one. It ended up being Facebook Messenger, and he thought he was so slick for using the app while I'm gone and deleting it before I come home. What really stung is in the messages it wasn't even all the way sexual. He said something about wanting to marry her, and he was literally just my +1 to my cousin's wedding in which I was a bridesmaid 2 weeks before this. He should only be thinking about marrying me. And a lot of other things too. Once I confronted him, he somehow managed to flip the script on my saying it's my fault for lurking, and I can't ever let us be happy. Literally was packing up his shit when he got caught, making a scene, breaking shit, even shoved me to the ground at one point. All this in my parents' house too. He had the nerve to do all this with them in the house. I really feel like if I ever moved in with him, he could have killed me eventually. He scared me so much when he was mad. What's really pathetic is I stayed with him for another 4 to 5 months after this. I've always been bi, but at this point in my life, I don't see myself being with a man ever again, lol. Story 8. I was using his laptop doing some wedding planning stuff and found his breakup letter to an ex-coworker about how he couldn't be with her anymore / have contact with her because he was marrying me. I stupidly thought, okay, well that hurts. But I still married him thinking that was in the past, and the letter was proof of that. Fast forward about 6 months into our marriage, and a couple of months after finding out we were pregnant, I see the chick posting pics on IG that she was in the same city he was visiting his family in without me. I was supposed to go too, but a last-minute work thing came up. She doesn't live anywhere near there, and it would be highly coincidental to be in the same city at the same time since it's not a popular city. I just knew in my gut. So, I confronted him, and he admitted they met up at her hotel room, and that she had flown to meet him there because she had something to tell him. I made him call his very religious mother to tell her what he had done and call the chick to tell her it's over and to not contact him again. I then monitored his phone and found irate messages from her. She was big mad that he broke contact with her, which is kind of crazy because she knew we were together, married, and expecting a child, so not sure what she thought was going to come of things. She also had the audacity to use him as a job reference after the incident which he showed me, and I made him delete without responding. We're still together after lots of counseling and work. Time will tell if I made the right decision or if this situation comes up again.